Let's go ahead and get going here. Welcome to the Aligned Habits Workshop, which is a way that you'll see we're going to align your big goals with your daily habits so that achieving your goals becomes inevitable. But before we do that, I just want to mention a couple things. First, as we get started here, please feel free to share. Whether you type in the chat, which you're more than welcome to do. Also, may want to raise your hand. You can join in on video as well during the workshop. So happy to give feedback. Don't hesitate to come on camera and unmute and ask questions. This is meant to be interactive. So we do these every single week. We have anywhere from from 3 to 20 people, depending on how busy folks are in a given week. And we just love doing these free workshops because it's a way of engaging folks and inspiring them with the true self system that you're going to learn more about today. So we're going to go ahead and get going. And as we do, I want to ask you a quick question. And like I said, we said a moment ago, if you have a journal, a piece of pen and piece of paper, that's great. You can type electronically, but I really encourage you to stay focused here. So drop in the chat or here's an initial question I want to ask you is, what's one habit that you wish you could stick to that would change your life? What's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? I'll give you just a few seconds to work on that, type that in. Chad, you and I both Chad had regular exercise. I had exercise/yoga daily. And I've actually, starting this fall, gotten better and better at making this almost daily. But, with 5 kids, sometimes stuff like that gets in the way. And that definitely has this week. Like last week, I was great. This week, not as much. Let's see. Enjoying my creative outlets. Oh, yes. Absolutely, Karen. Um, we've had some folks say that before, and actually, Deborah, a lady who was on, came back to our course a few times, and she had actually really started expanding her creative outlets, both piano as well as art, too. So hopefully you can enjoy those and carve out time for that, and hopefully what you learned today will help that as well. So before we fully get going here, I want to take a moment to get grounded. And this is just about 2 minutes or so just of breathing and being fully present, because the work we're going to do today, the learning that we're going to do today, it's great to be focused. And if you want aligned habits and you want to achieve your big goals, you really got to stay focused. So we're going to take just a minute to be fully present here instead of distracted on the phone and emails and texts and social media. Take just a moment, and we want to do this by closing your eyes or dropping your gaze down low if closing your eyes isn't comfortable. And you just want to breathe for a moment. I want you to just listen to your natural breath coming in and going out through your nose. I'm going to do that just for a few seconds. Just breathe in and out through your nose. And once you're focused just on your breath, we want to take a deep breath in through our nose, hold it at the top, and then breathe it out through our mouth. Sigh it out audibly through your mouth. So take a deep breath in through your nose. Keep taking little sips of air till you fill your belly. Hold it for a second, and then sigh it out. All right, we're going to do 2 more of those because we like 3s. All right, so take a deep breath in, hold it at the top, and then sigh it out. And 1 more. Deep breath in through your nose. Keep holding, keep taking in little sips of air through your nose, down into your belly. Hold it at the top, and then sigh it out. Let it all go. Let all that stuff go that held you back this week or kept you stuck. Let it all go. Now, take another 30 seconds or so just feeling your natural breath, maybe a minute. Return back to the breath in through the nose, out through the nose. And don't focus on any thoughts. Just let thoughts pass through your mind like clouds passing through the sky. Just breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. See if you can feel the air maybe in your belly rising and lowering, your lungs expanding and contracting. Maybe you just feel the air coming in and out through your nostrils, the little space between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip. Feel the air coming in and going out there. Just breathe in and out through your nose. Breathing in and going out. Don't stay stuck on any thoughts that come in. Just let them go and focus on the air coming in and going out. May even say to yourself in and out, or even rising and lowering as you feel your diaphragm rising and lowering. All right. All right. Well, hopefully you're fully grounded now and present here with us and ready to get going on setting your big goals and aligning your habits with your goals so you can make achieving those goals inevitable. And we want you to live habitually inspired. So if you've struggled to stay consistent, you're not falling short in life. You may just have been trying to force a version of success that may not have been aligned with your true self. So today we're going to reset that and we're going to rebuild from your true self. So what we're going to cover today, what we're going to cover with the roughly hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes or so that we have is four things. First, why most goals fail. We're going to break this up into four sections. First, why most goals fail. Second, how to set the right goals. Third, how to build supportive habits. And lastly, how to get back up when life throws you off your routine. In other words, how to stay on track. Napoleon Hill said, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement, not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything." So if you have a desire to make this your best year ever and move past all that's held you back from living in complete happiness and bliss, then we'll turn that desire into action. And we're going to give you plans for action as well as materials that are going to help you take that action. So we're going to mold that burning desire for love, happiness, and success into real action that you can take today to live the life of your dreams. We're going to do this by aligning your dreams with your habits. So how do I know this works? Because I've done it over the last 7 years. It took me a ton of trial and error and learning to get to a point where my big goals and daily habits were aligned so that I can live the life of my dreams every day. And with 5 kids ranging from 4 to 17 and running 2 businesses, I have to be focused and disciplined to ensure that we can all live happily and productive lives. So I decided 7 years ago that I wanted to figure out why I wasn't achieving what I hoped to achieve by that point, and why I was looking in the mirror with disappointment and not seeing the joyful and successful person that I had hoped to be. And not that I wasn't successful by outward appearances, but I didn't feel it inside. I'm going to save you years worth of learning and mistakes to become who you are meant to be, to live the life of your dreams now. Does that sound good? All right, don't worry, this isn't going to be hard. It just requires a system that works for you, and we're going to show you how to do that. So first, in part 1, we're going to discuss why goals fail. At the beginning of this year, we held an inspiring 8-week challenge course called Thrive in 25 to kick the year off right by implementing our big goals. So at the beginning of this course in January, I shared with the entrepreneurs, professionals, and parents that joined us a statistic that we found in our research. Less than 9% of adults report achieving one New Year's goal, meaning 91% of adults who set goals reach 0 of them. How sad is that? Now, in the research, what we came up with is why goals don't stick or why goals fail. Some of the common reasons are: first, unclear vision; second, external pressure or distractions, things that keep us from our goals, not just us; and third is an unrealistic pace. So you set a big goal, which is great, but you may try to achieve that goal in a period of time that you just can't achieve it. So you end up feeling failure. And I had that happen with a company we started a few years ago, and I'll describe that a little bit more later. But we wanted to get to a certain number of customers within a period of time that just was not at all possible. So unrealistic pace. Lastly, lack of identity alignment, and perhaps most importantly, lack of identity alignment, meaning you're not aligned with your true self. So you set a goal, which is something that you think you're supposed to be doing, or that, your parents or society or your spouse or coworkers, that you think they expect of you, but it's not aligned with who you truly are inside. So we're going to help you get to the root of that today. Robert Brault said, "We're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to lesser goals. We're always taking detours and getting off the highway to our dreams, not because it's too hard or too far, but because we're distracted by what's right in front of us." So in this picture here, these folks were distracted by a sign that said, "Great view over there." And so they went over there instead of continuing on to their goal of getting to the summit like these folks did. So we're going to talk about distractions, taking us from our goal. So not necessarily obstacles, but by distraction, meaning a clear path to a lesser goal. So, great example of that is, does scrolling through news or social media get you to your goal faster? No. It fills your brain with negative inputs of others, wastes your time, and takes your mind off of what truly matters most. Our addictions to the phone, alcohol, drugs, and negative news stream keep us distracted from our goals. And the distractions take us from what matters most, our dreams, and from our loved ones. I don't know if you ever heard of Blaise Pascal, but famous French inventor and mathematician who said, "Distraction is the only thing that consoles us from our miseries, and yet it is itself the greatest of our miseries," meaning distraction is the greatest of our miseries. We got to stay focused. We all have certain vices and bad habits that we want to overcome. We may not even recognize the dependence as a problem, but it still takes us from our natural state. And when we're taken from our natural state, we don't operate at our best. And when you operate at your best, meaning in your natural state, you put good food and stuff into your body and your mind, and you keep your mind positive. So even if you're not distracted by all the modern distractions in life, many of us are kept from our real goals by that clear path to a lesser goal. A friend or a coworker asks you to help out, a small task or goal comes up that's easily achievable, so we jump right into it, leaving our big goals and dreams behind that we'll deal with another day or another month or another year, maybe not at all. That small hit of helping someone out or doing a small task, it may make us feel some accomplishment, but it delayed our real goal. Your true self knows this, and your inner voice calls to you. So you may experience some success, but it's not the real success that your true self requires of you. Misaligned goals create confusion, anxiety, and burnout, meaning goals that aren't aligned with your true self. This is why so many seemingly successful people are not happy. They may be achieving professional and work success, but they're just accomplishing small menial tasks. Inside, they're unhappy because they're not aligning their daily habits with their big goals. And that creates confusion and leads to burnout. That's why so many people feel exhausted, anxiety, and depression today. You go one way, and your true self knows you need to go another way, and it creates anxiety and confusion. But clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. Another reason goals fail, even if they are clear, is that the clear goal is not aligned with your true self. Gandhi said, "We shut our ears to that still small voice inside us. But when you listen, you know what to do." Listening, truly listening to your inner voice propels us into our future with clarity. We all have a small voice within that speaks to us about wanting an amazing life, nudges us to our personal and professional dreams, and clamors for love and happiness. I want you to give a megaphone to that still small voice within. That is your true self and your higher power directing you where to go. When you listen to your inner voice, you are aligned and living on purpose. When you are clear on your goals and they're aligned with your true self, you can live the life of your dreams. This alignment brings excitement and confidence to every day. So as you move towards your big goals, you're clear and excited. So now at the end of this section, at the end of each section, we're going to do a little activity or a journaling prompt. So right now, I want you to think of a goal that you set in the past but didn't reach. So what do you think really got in the way? So just take maybe 2 to 3 minutes right now to journal. Hopefully you got a journal out or a piece of paper, a pen and pencil, and just write down. Think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach, and what do you think really got in the way? Take just 2 to 3 minutes to think about that, and we'll be back in just a moment. And by all means, once you've done that, feel free to type that into the chat. Or, like I said earlier, if you do want to share, feel free to raise your hand or come off mute and be on camera, and happy to discuss those with you. So think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach, and what do you think really got in the way? Okay, just take another couple seconds with that, maybe, another 15 to 30 seconds. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, a goal I had set in the past, it was probably about 4 years ago, uh, was to start a new company to take folks off grid. We're in the clean energy business. This company, Blue Sky Power, I've run for 17 years. And we were going to start a new company, which was to take folks off grid, but we had an unrealistic time frame. And I also think we hadn't really thought through all the issues. And, it was very painful. You hear me talk a little bit about it later. We put a ton of money into it and hired a team to accomplish all this stuff. And, what really got in the way was not being totally clear on how we were going to get there, and what we were going to do to get there. So we set these big goals, but we weren't entirely clear on it. So I see, Karen, you got there, being debt free and saving more, and I hear you, sister. I'm working on that as well. Um, I can't wait to be there, and I'm very actively working on getting there with you as well. So you know, may not have gotten there, but it doesn't mean you can't start today on paying down debt and trying to save more. Even it's the little things that matter that get you there. Maybe pay a few dollars more than you did the prior month, and also put a little bit more away and find out where you can cut. Um, Making passive income, Chad. I didn't dedicate the time needed to make it happen. Well, you got plenty of time, Chad, to jump back on it and start doing that today. And I feel the same way. I mean, I'd love to have some passive income, and I do think that some of the things I'm working on now may be able to achieve that. So working on that as well. Thank you guys for sharing those. If anyone else wants to share, by all means, put those in. I do see that Cynthia just joined us as well, and Janice is just joining us too. So, we I guess are moving past that first section, which we had a journal prompt with for the couple people who are just joining us now. We're just wrapping up a journal prompt from the first section, which you may want to catch up on and do as we move on. Think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach, and what do you think really got in the way? So we were just discussing and sharing some of those. And now we're going to go ahead and move on. So feel free to participate in the next one. And for those of you who just joined us, we always encourage people to share. So you can put any of your responses in the chat box, or feel free to raise your hand and take yourself off mute and come on camera for those. So now we're going to get into part 2, which is about aligning your goals with your true self. We're going to shift from sort of externally imposed goals that a lot of folks set. Remember that figure I showed that 91% of folks report not achieving any goals at all that they set each year. So we want you to be in that 9%. So we're going to shift from externally imposed goals to deeply personal, soul-led vision for your life. You're going to build an emotional connection to your true self. Now we're going to talk about setting expansive goals, big expansive goals that excite you. Aligning your goals with your true self ensures that you are set up for success. You get there through alignment and deliberate practice. So it's good to have good habits, but where are they getting to you? So we're going to talk about, going big first, and then we're going to get down to the habits. So if you're wondering why we're talking about big goals, not about habits, they all link, and we'll get there in a minute. But it's good to have these good goals, but you want to ask yourself, where are they getting you? Are they aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self? Meaning, are your habits aligned with where you want to be and where your short-term goals are? You need to know where you're headed. So you need to set goals, and you need to make them big. We're going to talk about why it's important to set big goals, but you want to start by going big. So where do you want to be in 10 years or in 20 years? And don't worry about where you are right now. It doesn't really matter if you're 30 or 50 or 70 or 90. There's no end to what you can achieve at any age and at any point. But you have to think bigger. What is your big inspired goal? What seems outrageous to others, but you know in your heart is what you need to do? This is your North Star. This is the direction you need to head. Who do you want to be in 10 years? We're going to work backwards from 10 years and then down to 3, then to this year, this quarter, and this month. And then we'll set the daily habits that bring those goals together. They're all linked. Are you the same person that you are today that you were 10 years ago? No, but we set goals and plans often that make us seem like we're going to be ourselves, but just a little bit older. But it's not the case. You'll be a totally different person in 10 years. If I look at myself today, I was a totally different person 10 years ago. So when I look 10 years in the future, I should be planning based on a big vision for my life that I may not necessarily have all the information for today. So since you may not be that same person, there's a concept called prospection. It's the ability to mentally represent and evaluate possible futures. It's a fundamental psychological skill that includes planning and imagining future scenarios. When we envision future scenarios, we limit ourselves to what we know now. But there are no limits. Our goal in this workshop is to open our minds to think without limits. So I want to talk about listening to your inner voice and tell you a story about when I was just 27. And it was the end of my second year of law school. And it's just about to be exams. It's like a couple weeks before exams. And I was standing in the kitchen late one night, and I looked down. My left foot felt a little warm. So I looked down thinking maybe there's a pipe there. Maybe the dog just peed there. And I touched with my right hand, there was nothing there. That night I went to sleep, my legs started twitching every couple seconds. And within 2 days, I lost the ability to lift my left foot. I told drop foot, and I was like limping along. 2 days later, I lost the ability to hold a pen in my right hand or type, which is kind of essential for law school exams. My head was spinning and my body was deteriorating. I'd just been elected class president and editor in chief of Law Journal. Was I about to die? What on earth was happening to me? MRI showed that I had lesions on my brain and on my spinal cord. This was the onset of multiple sclerosis. I had been pulling all-nighters on the regular, and my nervous system, my body was telling me to slow the heck down. So I was relieved, however, when my dad, who's a pediatric radiologist, physician, told me that I wasn't going to die right now, but that this could get worse. I'm thinking, like, worse? How is dragging my feet along and not being able to write or type going to get any worse? But I was really despondent. And I was sitting in the neurologist's office the next day after the MRIs, and I I was in the waiting room, and I went into the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, but I didn't see a despondent person who was suffering. Instead, I saw a spark, and all of a sudden, it hit me. This voice from inside said, "FDR was in a wheelchair, and he did okay. You can do this." And so I decided that I wasn't going to quit and fall into a pit of despair. I was going to get up and I was going to run into my future, even if I could only limp. And so over the next 3 years, when I overdid it as a young lawyer, I did have two subsequent MS flare-ups where I lost vision in each of my eyes due to lesions of my optic nerves. But our body is miraculous, though, and heals itself when we care for it properly. And although I have some residual nerve damage, like numbness in my right hand, my left foot's cold where that happened, but thank God I've now gone almost 19 years without another flare up. But the lesson is simple. You have to listen to your inner voice when it tells you to slow down, just like you have to listen when it tells you to get up and run into your future. Now, I wasn't listening to that still small voice inside anymore, and I only understood or learned these lessons later in life. I was just running in circles as a young professional and then entrepreneur and parent. I was just running in circles all the time, hoping for things to get better. For years, I saw sad eyes looking back at me in the mirror, wondering why I hadn't hit my potential. I knew I wasn't living as my true self. Now, like I said earlier, by all outward appearances, I was successful, as as a lawyer and then as an entrepreneur and as a parent, but I didn't feel it inside. And I still struggled with lots of the things we're talking about today, exercise, debt, passive income, these things that, I sort of thought that by that age I would have accomplished, but I was still struggling with. So in the summer of 2018, 7 years ago, I had a complete awakening. I decide I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decide to work on improving myself and start listening and growing again. I've done intense study on personal growth and aligning our goals with our habits. This 7-year journey has been extraordinary and brought me to a place of deep personal alignment with my true self and personal, professional, and spiritual growth. And once I saw the light in the mirror, it dawned on me, I'm meant to inspire others. That's what my true self is meant to do. That's what that still small voice inside has been telling me for decades. That's why I saw sad eyes looking at me in the mirror for so many years, because living as a lawyer and then as a clean energy entrepreneur isn't living as my true self. I'm not making enough impact and inspiring enough people every day. Writing books and inspiring you is my true calling. What is your true calling? In the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, who lived fully through struggle and triumph, there is no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I want you to live the life of your dreams, which you can do today by living as your true self. So how can you do this? First, listen to your inner voice. Second, write down what you hear so you can set big goals. And third, implement daily habits that help you live as your true self and achieve your goals. You can live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing. You can't, meaning you can't live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing small, by just going through the motions. Don't go through the motions at work. Make your motions work. We're here to set big goals and then create a clear path to achieve those goals, followed by the habits that will help make your future come to life. That's how you're going to thrive in 25. Be bold and be specific. Again, be bold and be specific. It's a great quote by famous business strategist and author of book Good to Great, which is a really famous business book if you haven't read it. And Jim Collins said, if you have more than three goals, or if you have more than three priorities, you have none. We're going to set no more than three big goals. Everyone is so scattered trying to do everything that we give everything only our partial attention. So if you want to thrive and achieve big goals, you have to limit your focus and say no to a lot more. We all take on so much in this busy, fast-paced life that we forget to say no. I can't do that. And it's okay to say no. I'm sure you've heard people say no is a complete sentence. I'm going to share my system for setting big goals and then aligning them with quarterly and monthly goals. We can help you refine your goals and then set clear daily habits that will help realizing your goals inevitable. First, here's what I do. First, I envision my future by meeting my future self in 10 years. I also write a letter from my future self in 10 years to my current self to see all that I've accomplished. And I then envision myself after 10 years, 3 years from now, on my way to that bold future. And I set 3-year goals based on that vision. And we're going to walk you through an activity in just a little bit where you're going to envision your future self, meaning in 10 years. And then you're going to walk that down to 3 years and set some 3-year goals. And the exercises you do here, I want you to then take and do after the workshop as well. So at the beginning of each year, I set my big goals for the year that align with my 3-year goals. Then I list quarterly goals that I can do in the next 90 days to get me closer to my annual goals. Then I list the monthly goals that will help me achieve the quarterly goals. And I update that every single month. So if you're on our mailing list now, you'll get my monthly report where I update my monthly goals each month. That is true alignment, where you now bring your goals to life. And I post these on my desk as well as in my bathroom at work and at home. And we're going to share our True Goals worksheet with you when you get the recap. So you're going to take a look at that. We're going to work on that. Some of that you're going to want to fill out. So we're going to talk some today. You'll want to journal it, but then you're going to want to go back and fill out the True Goals worksheet here, where we're going from your big long-term goals down to your annual, quarterly, and monthly goals, and have no more than 3 for each of those. Make your goals big, and you want to make them simple. So take away all the nonsense that wastes your day, get rid of all the distractions, and focus in on your goals. Get ready to climb higher than you ever have before, because it's your time to thrive. Now, in order to do this, we want to run you through a guided visualization, just like I talked about. We want to imagine your life 10 years from now, fully alive, successful, and peaceful. Imagine if today, on the other side of the Zoom, was yourself 10 years from now. We're going to walk you through and do this in just a minute, where you have about 5 minutes to close your eyes and go to your happy place or your power place, that place where you feel the most alive. Maybe it's in your mind, maybe it's real. Maybe it's a place you love going on vacation, or the mountains, or a beach, or just in your backyard where you feel peace. Maybe it's a vacation place that you went to. Maybe it's just in the woods. Go to visualize your power place or your happy place, and waiting for you there, or walking in to meet you there, is yourself 10 years from now. Now, when you see that person who you're meant to be, yourself 10 years from now, what do you notice about them? What are they wearing? How do they spend their time? How do they carry themselves? What wisdom do they share with you? What have they accomplished? What have they achieved? So I want you to go ahead and take that time. Go meet your future self 10 years from now. Get inspired by them. Ask them questions. Ask what wisdom they have to share with you. Take a few minutes. We'll give you about 5 minutes to do that, and then we'll record some of that. So give you 5 minutes now to meet your future self. And I do want to point out as well, we want to work on some of the grounding we did initially. You want to close your eyes, take some deep breaths, focus just on your regular breath after a couple deep breaths. And then imagine going to that power place or happy place for you and meeting your future self 10 years from now. Strong, successful, alive, peaceful. All right, take just another few seconds here, maybe just another 20 seconds or so. And hope you've enjoyed that time meeting your future self. And remember, these exercises should really be done with greater time. So this was just an introductory practice, but I want you to take, maybe 20, 30 minutes or so and try this, either sit in meditation or sit in a comfortable chair or even lay down and, close your eyes and visualize meeting your future self. So, we went ahead and started that today, but want you to take some time and truly get into this exercise. Now, I want to take a few more minutes at the end of this section and I want you to journal this. What did your future self show you? Just like I mentioned a moment ago, what did your future self, look like? How did they dress? I mean, was it you, but maybe a little bit different? Um, yeah, we're talking about your future self 10 years from now. What did they accomplish? What wisdom did they share with you? So take maybe just 2 minutes right now and journal. What did your future self show you? How did they appear? How did they carry themselves? What wisdom did they share with you? What did your future self show you? And then I want you to write 3 goals, just 3 big goals that align with your future self. 3 goals that align with your future self. And you can feel free to share, any answers in the chat or come off camera after you've done those. So just take maybe 2, 3 minutes. And again, I know this probably requires a lot more contemplation and writing, but start the exercise and then you'll be able to do it, again later. So just want to introduce you to it. But take maybe, 2.5, 3 minutes right now and journal about your future self and what 3 goals and set 3 big goals that align with your future self 10 years from now. All right, just take a couple more seconds for that. And again, you're going to want to journal this a little bit more and do the exercise in greater depth. All right. Right. And by all means, feel free to share. We've mentioned it a few times. Feel free to share in the chat or, raise your hand or, take yourself off mute and come on camera if you would like some feedback on some of those. Um, Chad had there spending more time on high impact activities rather than scrambling for more work. Yeah, it's such a big one, Chad. And I do. I'm actually reminded of this recently because, I've had time really crunched over the last week with, different stuff going on with kids and family. And, um, I've been scheduling on Sundays. I've been taking a few minutes, like Sunday night after we put the kids down and planning out my week. But I only have these like few windows that I can really get stuff done. Um, so I look at my big goals. I mean, that's what this whole true self system is for. That's why the true goals worksheet is great. I've got my goals, which we'll be going through in a few minutes, but I've got my goal sheet right here. And I looked at October the other day. It was like, I got 2 weeks left in October. You know, where can I block time to do those high impact activities? Um, rather than just, I spend so much time on these little tasks and little things, which, do they really need to get done? I don't know. I mean, they can get done after you block time for your big task. So yeah, I've been kind of cognizant of that, and it's a good one to do. So definitely spending more time on high impact activities is really important, and that's one of the crux of today. Anyone else want to share anything that you learned from your future self, or three goals that align with your future self? All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the next section in just a moment, but before we do that, I just want to say that version of you that you just met, that's confident and calm and clear, it's not that far away, even though we discussed doing this for ten years out. But that version of you can bring to life even faster. They live on the other side of clarity and aligned habits. And in just a moment, as you see there, we're going to get into building habits that reinforce who you are. And the truth is, you don't think your way into becoming your future self. You have to experience your way into it, which is exactly why your habits are so important. They're how you make sure you're living as your true self each day and getting to those goals. So, becoming your true self and living your life on purpose can take years or even decades. And sadly, most people never even get there. Aligned habits shape your identity over time, which is why we created the 8-week Thrive in 25 course. Through this experience, each week you'll be immersed in supportive and growth focused environment, allowing you to become your true self now. You'll be living as your true self in just 2 months instead of taking a lifetime. And I discussed earlier, we launched that at the beginning of this year. We'll probably do it again later this year or at the beginning of 26 as well. But now we want to talk about building habits that reinforce your true self. Now we're going to turn your vision of your true self into repeatable, grounded action. Your habits, which are your daily practice of becoming your true self. So, when I began the regular practice of meditating and journaling 7 years ago, it felt difficult and awkward at first. And I don't know why it felt awkward at first. I mean, I don't know. Guess I was like nervous. My wife or kids would walk in and be like, "What's this crazy guy sitting in the lotus position?" Eyes closed. I don't know if I was embarrassed for me or them or what, but anyway, I stuck with it, and it soon became natural and heartfelt and habitual. And now it's a part of my daily life. Habits, good and bad, are hard to break. And heaven knows I've had my bad habits. Like doing things I shouldn't do or staying up too late, drugs, alcohol, things that I know I shouldn't do. But it's a lot easier to break bad habits when you have good habits and positive reinforcement to break them. In the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Again, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. By retraining your brain to live a more positive, productive, and happy life, you are more easily able to achieve your goals. Even if you've done the same negative routine for decades, your brain can be reprogrammed through deliberate practice. Again, we are what we repeatedly do. So if you want to see and do things differently, to live as that future version of yourself, then set new habits and do them repeatedly. It doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, you can retrain your brain for love, happiness, and success. So, to get into a routine of positive habits, it's worthwhile to track your habits. There's a saying, you can't improve what you don't measure. I think Peter Drucker said it. And you measure and track that which you want to improve. Track your habits to make them come to life. Don't wait for the future to happen. Start being that person you're meant to be now. Meaning that future version of yourself, bring that person to life now. And to do that, it helps to measure and track your progress in living as your true self. That future version of yourself you met is your true self. It doesn't have to be profound or difficult. Make it simple. The habitually inspired habit tracker that we created is simply a way of tracking up to 10 daily habits. So we put up there, this is one of my habit trackers that I was working on in June, we used for a workshop. And showing you there, it's broken out by week. You just write down habits you want to work on, practice regularly, or improve that will help you hit your personal, professional, and spiritual goals. Those things that improve your mind, your body, and your spirit. Maybe you want to track progress on a work goal or a fitness goal. I lost over 30 pounds from tracking intermittent fasting, a new diet that I did for myself a couple years ago, and it worked. And yeah, it took me over a year, but it was that simple daily habit that got me there to losing that weight. For now, let's just focus on what you want to improve and start tracking it. Try to make those habits that will help you achieve your 3 big goals that you set a few minutes ago. The habit tracker is a great way to do that on paper or digitally. Remember though, if you do track your habits on your phone or on a computer, don't use your phone for the first hour you're awake, except maybe to like turn off an alarm or play some positive music or listen to a book that will help you work out or meditate. You may get stuck on an app to track your habits and then switch to checking, text, emails, social media. Orienting your day properly is essential to living a life of joy. Do not check emails, text, social media, or communicate with anyone other than yourself for the first hour you're awake. I don't track it, but it's worth tracking if you find the phone addiction taking you from setting your intention for the day. I've been tracking daily habits now for over 5 years. And remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Here are the habits that I'm currently tracking each day. They were just up there, but maybe we can get them back up. All right. So we got there sleep by 10, wake by 5, meditate, journal, 1 hour flow, or, I boosted this up this month to 90 minutes of flow on a top priority. Read a spiritual book, read the Tao Te Ching, read 30, 60, or consume 30 to 60 minutes of positive content, and also exercise or yoga. I mentioned earlier, that was one of the things that, I was not as consistent with, but I've gotten more consistent with. And then PM journal, which we'll describe in just a little bit, which is, before you go to sleep, journaling your big 3 priorities for the day, your wins for that day, and how you want to show up the next day. And then, like I said, your big 3 priorities for the next day. So I have journaling in there twice, at the beginning of the day as well as at the end. So look, this changes slightly from quarter to quarter based on what I'm working on or trying to improve. But many of those habits have been the same for the last 5 years. For example, I used to wake up and meditate, but last year when I was working on my first book, Light in the Mirror, I added wake up or write from 5:30 to 7 as my first activity of the day when there are no disruptions and my brain's in the right state. And that habit helped me hit the goal of writing my book in just 6 months because I did a little bit every day and I tracked it. I made that commitment to myself and I hit my goal. Now, is it perfect? No. But do I get to every single habit every day? No, sadly. But life gets in the way. And I miss one or two of my habits. And, but you know what? On those days when I am at my best, I hit them all. And those days become more frequent the longer I track my habits. I make time for them. I make sure I do those like my life depended on it. And you know what? My future self does depend on it. I can't reach my goals if I'm not doing these habits. As I go along, I have more days at my best and I hit them all more often. That which is being measured is actually improving. Track what works best for you. Look at your goals you're setting, see what you need to do to hit those goals, and make those areas your daily habits. What does that person you dreamt of being do each day? What does your future self do every day that you're not doing now? You journaled about that vision for yourself in 3 years or in 10 years. What do they do that you don't do now? Start doing those things. Pick those things and be that person by practicing each day, and you'll quickly become that person. My life is improving each day because I'm tracking that which matters most to me and holding myself accountable by tracking it. I'm living as my true self. So, 4 years ago, I envisioned my future self. I wrote a letter to myself from my future self. I then took those actions that my future self took. I started dressing like that person I had envisioned. Like it was me, but it was different. It was the me I wanted to become. And I started transforming into that person I wanted to become. I started tracking the habits that my future self would do, and I did them day in and day out. And I started to become that person. Now, did I reach him fully? No, not yet. But my vision for my future self continues to grow, and new habits emerge as I evolve. So the question is, who do you want to become? And are you fired up to become that person? Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Again, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Anyone can get excited to start something new, but a lot of people fizzle off. It's habit that keeps you going. And yeah, we put the habit tracker there in the chat. You can download it there. We will also share that in a recap. So we're going to send you an email with the recording from today, the True Goals worksheet, and the habit tracker, as well as our epic daily ritual, which we've just come up with, which I'm really excited to share with you. So we're here to thrive this year, to set big goals. But this year, we're going to accomplish those goals because we're going to put habits in place that make achieving those goals inevitable. So now at the end of this section, now that we've talked about habits, we've gone from, why goals fail, next to setting big goals, now to setting your habits. And at the end of this section, just take, maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and write out what are 5 to 10 habits that will help you become your future self, meaning yourself in 3 years. So you vision this long-term vision yourself 10 years from now. You then set, 3 big goals. Now go down a little bit. What are 5 to 10 habits that help you become your future self in 3 years? Where could you get 3 years from now if you were to implement 5 to 10 habits daily? So take, maybe 3, 4. Take just another few seconds, maybe 30 seconds here. And also, as I've said at the end of each section, feel free to share if you do want to share. You can put them in the chat, or you can even ask questions about setting habits. Which ones are right habits, or how you implement. Remember, when you use the habit tracker, you don't necessarily have to do those every single day. There are some things you may do, during the work week. There's some things you may do 3 to 4 days a week. Maybe you want to get to the gym 3 days a week, and that's your habit. That's why in the habit tracker, we have a little column next to the habits that says like number of times per week. So, some of mine are daily and some of mine are, a few times a week. You can even make weekly habits, something you do, once a week. But the point is, those habits help you get to your big goals. Now, anyone want to share any feedback on habit setting? And then we'll start getting into overcoming setbacks and building resilience. All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. And of course, feel free to put anything in the chat and we can answer those. And I'll also stay on after, we're done with the primary parts of the workshop. Once we get through this next section, I'm happy to stay on if you have any questions about goal setting or listing your habits and setting your big goals. So, now we want to talk about overcoming setbacks and building resilience. I want to reinforce that, there's safety in your ascent to your true self and long-term commitment to your success. And so, when you set aligned goals and you build the habits to match, you're not just chasing results, you're becoming someone new. So it was, talk about setting habits and overcoming setbacks. It was Memorial Day weekend just a few months ago. And my wife and I were at a party. We were at a bar mitzvah and my wife is dancing and she ruptured her Achilles. And I remember I said, we have 5 kids and the irony of it is my wife was dancing to the Kesha and Pitbull song Timber. It's going down. It'll be a night you won't remember. Well, she remembered that for sure. And she was also dancing with our friend who's an orthopedic surgeon, who checked her leg immediately after she got off the dance floor, was sitting in the chair. And he's like, yeah, you ruptured your Achilles completely. So, I had these big goals I was going to implement by the end of the quarter, that meaning by the end of June, related to getting my book published and for this new series we were doing, this True Self project that we're about to launch. And, like everything got put on hold. And not only was I then taking care of my wife, who was basically bedridden, she had surgery, to reattach her Achilles, and she was bedridden for almost 2 months. And I also had to take care of her and our 5 kids and do all the things that she always did. So all of my, my goals, my habits, everything was blown to hell in a matter of minutes. And I had to adapt. I gotta say, it was the most challenging time I ever had as a parent, and a spouse, and professionally, trying to sort of keep, 2 businesses going and take care of my wife and take care of kids. And I mean, I was up all hours. I mean, I was, basically getting all the kids down, and then I was helping her till late at night and, feeding her and tending to her wound and stuff like that and helping her get what she needed to do and getting her in a wheelchair to the bathroom and all this stuff. I mean, it was tough. So my habits were definitely not what they normally are. I was thrown off and everything got pushed back months. I pulled up to the school. It's the second to last day of school. And I forgot my one of my daughter's shoes. And so we left being I carried her to the car and I was going to go back and get her shoes and I forgot. And that's, getting, 5 kids to school. And so I dropped everyone else off and she and I went over to Target and I got her like some sandals. And then we came back to school and when I said, I got to go sign you in, I can't just drop you off, since I forgot your shoes. And she said to me, "Well, I forgot my shoes too, Daddy." And I almost melted in this like total frenzied state of like, oh, and I was supposed to be on a conference call at that same time that I had to push back. Um, and it was a mess. My point is, life gets in the way. You can't beat yourself up if you have to push your goals back a month or if you don't hit all your habits for a few weeks. Life gets in the way. When you take a risk and you listen to your inner voice and you pursue a path, it's not about whether you get to the end goal exactly on the time you said you would. There will always be twists and turns. It's not about the destination, but about who you become in the process. When you set big, audacious goals, even if you fall short, you're much further ahead than you were before if you didn't pursue those goals. So did I reach those goals that I wanted to, in June? No, but I'm still pursuing those and I will reach them this year. My annual goals did not get knocked off, even though, my monthly and quarterly goals did last quarter or, in May and June and July. Tracking your habits isn't a test. You're not competing against others. You're keeping track so that you can improve. And some weeks won't be as strong. Yet, if you want to live a life in bliss, then keep tracking and keep improving. My point here is don't beat yourself up, but come back to your habits. Come back to the True Goals worksheet. Come back to the habitually inspired habit tracker. You aren't always going to feel this balance. Because when you do track and everything is going right, you feel this balance. You feel yourself in this resonant frequency progressing towards your goals, and you feel like you are accomplishing what you set out to accomplish. But you're not always going to feel that balance. Either busy life takes you from your healthy habits like sleep, meditation, journaling, and exercise, or something happens that gets in your mind. Those negative recurring thoughts take over that are on a perpetual loop. And part of your job is to quiet your mind and to stay focused on your goals. But it's not always perfect. But the more you work at it and trust your true self as your guide, the more you stick to your healthy habits and come back to your true self. No matter how busy you are and what negativity impacts your life, you're never too busy or distracted to take 2 seconds to look yourself in the mirror and say, "I love you." You're never too tired to put your hand on your heart and say, "I love you," as you drift off to settled sleep. You've got to keep going, even when you don't feel it. In fact, when you don't feel it is the perfect time to reset. When your computer isn't working properly, you reboot. When you get that dreaded colored spinning wheel of death on your computer that, everything's frozen and hopefully you don't lose stuff and nothing's working right, you force a restart. You press Control Delete or you hold the power button down And when things aren't going well and you're off your game, reboot yourself. Go back, look at your habitually inspired habit tracker, and begin again. This is your reboot. This brings you back to your true self. This brings you back to accelerating towards your big goals. Once you head down this path and you see the light it brings you, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee the light in the mirror and all around you, even when you have bad days. Those days get shorter and less frequent. You can change the trajectory more quickly when you have a clear path and a routine. Your habits keep you going and help get you back to who you're meant to be. When a challenge, a tragedy, or even just a bad day knocks you off track, get back to tracking your habits and find your alignment within yourself again. That's what this system is set up to do, to help you stay aligned with your true self. So now I want you to make a commitment. So now that we are getting close to closing, we'll be just a few more minutes here, but I want you to take a few minutes and journal what's one small action you will take in the next 24 hours to move towards your future self. If you can, take a couple seconds to just put it in the chat. Maybe just put it in the chat or, write it down, but feel free to share it as well. You're also more than welcome to, take off mic and come on camera if you want. But what's one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to move towards your future self? And now remember, we're going to be sending you, later today or early tomorrow, the recording from this, the True Goals worksheet, and the habitually inspired habit tracker, as well as our new epic daily ritual, which is setting a lot more detail on what you can do to have a strong morning and evening routine to help you hit your habits more regularly. So what's one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to move towards your future self? Again, write it in chat or raise your hand. So now that we've done these things, and once you get these resources in your hands, let's see, Chad, you got setting an alarm reminder for morning journal and don't use phone reminder. Oh, that's an interesting one and a good one, Chad. I like that. Yeah, it's funny. I do say, don't look at the phone. And I guess I've gotten to a point I've made it such a habit. I don't, but yeah, morning journal, that's a great one. An alarm rather than phone reminder. I like those alarm reminders. Those are actually good because you don't have to uh, go into calendar or something like that. You just get an alarm reminder. And yeah, don't use your phone reminder. You're going to use your phone to tell you not to use your phone. That's a good one. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and launch. It's time to put your spacesuit on and climb into the shuttle on the launch pad to skyrocket into space. Staring at the stars is inspiring. I love doing it, but it won't make you an astronaut. It's time to launch. A lot of preparation goes into launching a spaceship to blast off into the celestial hemisphere. But that voyage only begins with the decision to climb aboard and soar to your destination. It's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. It's painful wishing you could be that person you see in your mind, and it seems like it's either impossible or taking forever to get there. But it doesn't have to be painful. These are choices. This is your life to choose. You can either continue to go through the motions or live the life that you are meant to live. You can either stay in the harbor and stare at the sea, or you can cross the ocean. You can stare at the stars or launch yourself into space. You can stay in the same painful job or create the career you want. You can stare at the phone or you can play with your kids. You can stay up late watching TV or you can get up early and meditate. You can busy yourself on social media or email, or you can make real progress on your goal. You can be in that miserable relationship that you've outgrown, or you can find true love with the person that brings out the best in you. You can sing the song you're meant to sing, or you can keep it bottled inside. These are all choices, and some of these are tough choices, I know, but they are yours and yours alone to make. I love this quote by Elizabeth Appel about becoming who you're meant to be. It says, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Your life is only created by you, and we all create our own reality by our mindset and the choices we make. You can choose to live a life of happiness and bliss by deciding to do so. But staying tight in your bud is far more painful than the risk it will take you to blossom. At any stage in life, this holds true. It's never too late to be who you're meant to be. So be honest with yourself. Are you living the life you're meant to live? Are you achieving the one thing that inspires you the most? If not, it's time to blossom. It's time to live life inspired. Remember that Mandela quote from earlier in the workshop where I said, there's no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. You're capable of living an extraordinary life. Make it big. Do not play small. Do not settle. You know what you are capable of. You just need to get it out of your head, down on paper, and then take action every morning to get you closer to who you're capable of being. But it can't be small. You won't take any action if you have a small goal because it doesn't matter that much. It's just, hey, I'll get to do this next thing. You got to set big goals that excite you. Most people spend their days accomplishing small tasks and going through a bunch of little actions instead of taking big actions for significant blocks of time to get to seemingly impossible goals. The digital world and fast-paced modern life have trained us to feel busy, with short attention spans, by the way, but not very productive. And all that busyness keeps us from designing a bold vision for our lives and then planning out the journey and the small habits to get us there. As Les Brown put it, most people fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. It's so true. When I first read that, it really hit home. Don't aim for these low targets accomplished by menial tasks. Aim high in life and love and work. You're meant to live an extraordinary life. If you invest in yourself and start what was recommended here today, you'll find true freedom and happiness. So you can make excuses or you can awake with intention. Look in the mirror, say, I love you, and then implement the steps prescribed here today so that you can return to your true self and be the person you're meant to be. Don't wait until that still small voice inside is suppressed to a faint whisper and you don't hear it anymore. You know what to do. If you pause for a minute to listen, to truly listen, you'll hear your higher power and your inner voice calling to you to be the force for great good in this world that you are meant to be. Listen to it, write it down, and then every day do what's necessary to get you closer to that brilliant light you're meant to be. See the light in the mirror every day and watch it glow and grow. Life is to be lived and lived out loud. Life is to be enjoyed with enthusiasm. Love is to be shared and spread far and wide. The journey isn't always smooth, and roadblocks always pop up unexpectedly. But the tools provided today help make the journey smoother and get you around the roadblocks faster. Those that love you will be there for you. I love you and will be there with you on your journey. I'm always happy to help guide you up the mountain as you climb to meet your true self. So as your feet hit the floor tomorrow morning, simply say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. Walk into the bathroom, step in front of that mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. And then go spread that light out in the world. The world needs you to shine brightly now more than ever. As you awake with intention, your goals set, and your habits aligned, put down the phone. Turn off the negative news and just listen to your still small voice inside. Listen to yourself and your higher power, and then write down what you hear. And don't wait. Turn what you wrote down into action you can take today to live the life of your dreams, to be the person you are meant to be, to live your life of love, happiness, and bliss. Now, what you learned today is a solid foundation for living as your true self, but truly living in alignment takes practice and consistency. So at the end of this year, we're hosting the next Thrive in 25 8-week course, which is designed to fast track your journey to your true self through weekly lessons, group coaching, and a supportive community. So if you're curious, open, or even just a little intrigued, we'll send the link and a special discount code in a recap email. They'll follow the workshop. You'll know if it's for you because you've already met your true self and are ready to align with who you're meant to be. So we have some homework today, and I'm happy to stay on to answer any questions after. But for your homework today, just go back to that exercise we did earlier. Take at least 15 minutes to imagine yourself 10 years in the future. How do you look? How do you carry yourself? What have you accomplished? What wisdom do you share with yourself? Um, so yeah, we're going to provide that. And we're going to send all of that to you. So we're going to make that available to you, meaning the homework is going to be in the recap. So, you want to go back and you want to actually do this exercise for at least 15 minutes. I'd say up to 20 or 30 minutes to truly meet yourself fully. View your future self. The next thing you could do, write a letter from your future self, that person you met in your mind, to your current self. Maybe it's yourself 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. And keep it and refer back to it regularly. I did this 4 years ago. I've had it on my desk ever since then. And I do read it regularly. And I mean, it's so amazing when I see all that future person accomplished, as well as the amount of compassion and support they had for me today. You are your biggest fan. Write a letter from your future self to yourself and refer back to it. This is your true self telling you which direction to go. So that's your homework. Of course, we also invite you to, join us on social media. I have, regular videos. We also provide other resources and things that we provide up there on Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok. So by all means, enjoy some of the stuff and content we post there and keep an eye out. So I guess Deborah's asking, yeah, of course you can come on video, Deborah, anytime. We love seeing you. And I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions. So, we're done with the primary, portion of today's lessons. We will, like I said, keep an eye out for the recording with the True Goals worksheet, the Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker, and our Epic Daily Ritual guide as well. It's really a wonderful guide we put together. Oh, you need our permission. You shouldn't need permission to be on video. I'll put ask to start video and ask to unmute.
Oh, there I go. Can you see me? There you go.
There you go. Hey,
Yeah.
how are you this week, Deborah?
I'm doing great. It's been great. We have been 10 days in our new home, and I talked to you about the decluttering project and letting things go, and we did. We've let a lot of things go, but I'm so excited because I started back up on the Zoom level with one of my music teachers, and I said, I really need to get my little practice room all squared away, and I did that, and I've been doing practice every day. I just do a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, it really helps. It really makes a difference. The consistency, the little bit. And then I have been writing out what things on thank you. I've been writing what things on a daily basis help me with my 3 big goals. And this time when I did the 3 big goals, they matched what I did last time. And so I was like, oh good, they're kind of gelling,
Yeah, you're focusing in, you're honing in.
Right.
You're
So
on track.
right. And so now I'm saying, okay, what else can I let go? And I got an invitation to a women's Bible study on Zoom. And I said, I think it's time for me to let that one go because of the distraction, looking at distractions. And
Yay.
yeah. And the other thing I'm learning, Ben, is from this exercise is I used to see my responsibilities as paramount, on a higher level from the things I need to work on. And I'm saying, no, my responsibilities are very important and beneficial, but they are things that I fill in, with my dreams and goals. So
yeah, you're putting yourself first.
ranked it. And I also, one of the things that I have is so my three goals are to study God's word thoroughly and become very immersed in it. Number two is to express that in worship with music because I am a musician. And number three is to be able to teach and share that with children. So, and with the music is the puppets. Anyway, actually, I think the puppets fit in with my study of theology. But I said, I used to sit down and do homiletics, which is a way of outlining books of the Bible. And I've been repeating my reading. And I said, let me see if I can get the hang of it. I found my old worksheet and I started just today doing half an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much I enjoyed this. And I was like, wow, I'm hitting two of my three.
Yeah.
So I'm excited and I'll keep going. So I have
Well,
applications to get in so I can teach in the public arena. Yeah.
oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, the interesting thing is, I mentioned a little bit earlier, is, we do this long-term vision of ourself, our true self, our future self, and then we find that we're able to get there a lot faster than we thought possible. So you actually accelerate towards it because when you start saying no to more and you do start focusing in on living as your true self, you're able to be that person so much faster. Now, some of the goals, and when you set big goals, it may take a while to get there, but you're living as that person now instead of saying, it's some destination to get to, and I'll be happy when I get there. Um, I don't know if I'm going to get this story right, but if you'll let me share it, I listened to this on a Wayne Dyer Audible book the other day. Um, he said there's a there are two cats. There's an old alley cat, and there's this younger cat comes up to him, and the younger cat's chasing his tail, and alley cat says, "Hey, what are you doing there?" He says, "Well, I just finished cat school, and in cat school they taught me that happiness was in our tail. So I figure if I can just grab a hold of it, then I'll be happy." And the alley cat says, "Well, that's interesting, but I haven't had all the advantages that you've had. I didn't get to go to cat school, and I've just been living here on the streets and find whatever scraps I could. But what I found is if I just stay present in the moment and focused on doing what I love, that my tail follows me. Happiness follows me everywhere I go." So, that happiness is there all the time. It's not a destination to get to. It's not once you grab your tail or once you get to your future self. If you start being that person today, that happiness will always follow you there. So, you accelerate towards it more quickly. You set this bold vision for yourself, but you actually become your true self more quickly.
And I think you self-muted. It was right after the tail. Yeah.
No. All
Were
right.
you
Well,
self-muted?
yeah, I'm not sure what I got. I'm not sure what I got to, or if that happened for everyone.
Yeah, we heard the tail. Right now you're kind of you're in a long distance away. Did you maybe self-mute?
No, I didn't. I don't know
And
if that's for
diminish
you.
your,
Chad,
yeah.
is that the case for, can you hear me okay?
We
I
can
can
hear
hear
you
you. I can
slightly,
hear you
like
okay.
you're far
Okay,
away.
cool. All right. So now that we're back on. Hey, one thing I want to mention too, we used to do um, on Fridays around 10:30 or so, we used to do a weekly community meeting, which was open share for, working on goals or working on, um, what we're doing with our habits and other things. We're thinking about bringing that back. I just wanted to, get any input on that. If getting additional support is something that people would find helpful, that is something we might bring back. We had done that. We did it in conjunction with a course we were doing, but we're about to bring that course back. And we're also about to launch this new True Self project, a 30-day habit challenge. So we might bring those weekly community meetings back. Karen, that would be great. Thank you, Karen. And it's just an hour, I think probably an hour, hour and a half or so to share and get feedback. And yeah, actually, it would be Eastern time, so it'd be 9:30. Well, I guess it depends. I grew up in Memphis, remember? So Memphis is Central Time. Eastern Tennessee is Eastern Time. So depends where you are in Tennessee. But yeah, it would be 10:30. So we'll probably bring that back Western. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be 10:30 Eastern time. So that therefore 9:30 Central. So we'll look at bringing it. Maybe we'll make it like 11 if that's better because we have folks join us from the West Coast and other folks as well. Any other questions or anything I can answer for you today? Or any other feedback?
Yeah, then we'll get this recording in our email and um the link
Yep.
to what you're going to do in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're gonna have a link for the Thrive in 25 course yet.
Okay.
But we will make those available. Everyone on our list will get. You have gotten recordings from prior classes, right?
No, I didn't think to look. I saw the printed materials, but I didn't, I'm saying, hey, I, I remember now that I wanted to hear them again. I'm pretty sure you did, but
Okay.
I didn't think to drill down
Yeah,
until
we
you.
we also just put in there. There's also our recordings are up on YouTube as well, so
Oh,
you can
is your
access.
YouTube just your name?
Yeah, we actually just put a link in there. If you're able to see the chat, I know you're on your phone and not on
Oh,
your
yeah.
computer right now, but um, yeah, I think if you just search at Ben Parvey on Yahoo or I'm sorry, on YouTube, yeah, if you
Okay,
just search Ben Parvey or at Ben Parvey, there'll be a channel. You'll see recordings there.
great.
All right. All right. Any other questions or anything anyone has for us today? All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I really love spending the time with you today and appreciate it. Best of luck setting your big goals and your aligned habits that align with those goals, and always here to help support you. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And remember, I love you. Thank you.
Ben, are you going to do one more of these live or?
We're going to be doing many more of these.
Oh,
I think
okay, great.
we're going to keep doing, yeah, it's a good question. We're going to keep doing these, the aligned habits workshop weekly, which we have been since like May or June. But
Oh,
we're going to launch a couple new workshops as well. We also do have our True Self project coming out. So, I mean, we'll probably do we're going to change up some workshops just since they've been so positive and we love having people,
yeah,
every week in our community. So we're going to launch
great.
some new ones as well. But we are going to keep doing these for the rest of October. I know we have one let's say the 16th, the 23rd and the 30th.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay.
It's nice to see you live. Okay, and blessings with your family, and I hope your wife is recovered.
She is. She's. I mean, not fully recovered, but she's walking now without without the boot,
Oh,
um,
good.
limping around. But yeah, healing well.
That's
Thank
good
you very
news.
much.
Yeah, thank you. God bless. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you all. Bye bye.